This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on?
Hey, John. It's like everything's going fine. It's like, and here I'm about to talk about a series that I've been reading for a good long while now. Something I've been wanting to talk about for just as long, and that is the Immortal Hulk. This is a series that Marvel has been running for in a while for Marvel. It's like recently wrapped up, and it's also been by one of my favorite Marvel writers, Al Ewing. And it's like, while I've been thoroughly enjoying it, it's like I got some opinions about how everything wrapped up and how my reread went. But at the same time, though, I've actually got a friend who also has a vested interest in the Hulk. That's my buddy Rob. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Hey, Jason, I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. So I guess talk about our respective histories with the Hulk. I read plenty of comics with the Hulk, but this is probably like the first series I've read featuring the character. It's like that I've actually followed from beginning to end. I mean, lots of writers have tackled him over the years, most notably like guys like Peter David and Bill Mantlo. But this run by Al Ewing is like the first extended run that I've actually followed from from the start, mainly because of like the amount of buzz that it earned, and also because like I love Ewing, as he's done like so much great stuff like at Marvel over the years, and it was finally great to see him just get a big hit that basically pushed him onto the A-list at the company and in comics in general. But as I understand it, you've got like a more like general love of the Hulk, like, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's funny because I go all the way back to to the 70s TV show where I, as a little kid, I was actually terrified of the Hulk. I used to my parents would watch it, and I would hide behind the couch and say, "I don't like the Incredible Hulk." But as I got older, I became kind of fascinated with him. I read some comics. Didn't it was hard for me to kind of get into the comics without there being some kind of a hook. And I started reading some Hulk comics when they did the merged Hulk. And I enjoyed that for a while, but then I stopped collecting comics and didn't keep up with it. Because the short version is I got in a minor car accident and had to sell all my comics to fix my car, and that led me to just be like, why buy more comics? I had to get rid of all the ones that I had. But over time, I've seen him in other things, in like Avengers comics and other. I saw the movie with the Ang Lee movie and stuff like that, and I've always liked. There's a concept that I like about the Hulk, in that he's this guy, and this really comes out in they kind of mentioned this, I think, because I did read Planet Hulk, which was fantastic, but they kind of mentioned that he's this guy that nobody wants to deal with until there's something really terrible going on, and then they go to him and ask him to help, and I find that kind of fascinating. The dangerous type of guy. I was watching it's funny for me to go into this. I'm sorry. It was one of the Die Hard movies. It was like the fourth one or the fifth one. I don't remember which one. There's this part in the beginning where John McClane is saying, something like, nobody wants to deal with me, but they, because I'm abrasive or whatever, but they always come to me when they need help. And it really reminded me of the Hulk.
Okay, the fourth one is where he throws the car into the helicopter because he ran out of bullets. And the fifth one is the one where he went to Russia. And that's the one no one likes, apparently.
I don't think I saw that one then. It must have been the fourth one. I think in the beginning, I just remember him having a conversation in a car, and it's like, he's an abrasive, kind of alpha male type that nobody likes, but they come to him when something's wrong. And it reminds me of the Hulk.
When we've got a problem that needs punching, and we don't have enough people to punch it, we come to the Hulk or John McClane to punch it.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's that kind of thing. But I enjoy him a little more in ensemble settings, because if it's just the Hulk and a bad guy, I don't really care that much. I'm interested in how he interacts with other people. So this series was, it was really fascinating to me to see him deal with his other the other people in his like support group or whatever you might call it, and then just
his supporting cast.
Yeah,
his supporting cast, and also in his head as well. Because that's also. Because it's also something that the Hulk's like been known for, like all the different personalities that he's accumulated over the years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I read Planet Hulk, but just like you, this is also the only series where I read the entirety of one writer's run on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I gotta admit that at first, like I was not as on board with everyone else as everyone else was, because like I heard that because like the Immortal Hulk came to me, it's like as a basically like everyone telling me this is like this is like a horror fused like take on the Hulk, and I was like, okay, cool, let's see how that goes. And this in the first volume, it's like I can see what they're trying to do in terms of making the Hulk like a scary character, in terms of someone like who is just like going to just like fight against characters who are just like bad and mean, and just like be the big boogeyman that everyone fears. But it wasn't really a scary series, and that wasn't something that I that when you're talking about like, hey, this is a horror fused take on the character, it's like it wasn't scary, and that didn't get me at first. Even though I liked a lot of Al Ewing's work at Marvel up to this point, particularly his New Avengers stories, which were like great like superhero tales that just like that reflect that acknowledge continuity, but also use it to build on stuff. Like there's one point when like one of my favorite bits is in like the third volume of New Avengers, which was a tie into Civil War II, which like hell with that event series, but basically it was a storyline that involved like the evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe, the Maker, trying to take on Robert DaCosta's New Avengers team. And at one point, Maker gets his claws into Robert's CEO suite, and he's basically gonna you turn it into a death into a big death trap. And he's boasting to Robert. And he says, "Wait a second, you turn all my rooms security measures against me, so you basically turned into a danger room." Oh, it's beautiful. That moment is beautiful when you realize that hey, he's used continuity to in a way that's clever, and it's and basically adds to the story. That kind of storytelling is all over the Immortal Hulk. And basically one thing that kind of really sold me on Al Ewing's direction for the series is at the end of the first volume, when after this the Hulk, who, well, he's basically a different version of the Hulk that we've gotten up to this point, someone who we've gotten the smart Hulk, we've gotten the child child brain Hulk, who's just Hulk is sad, Hulk regrets what he has done, that kind of thing. But you've got this Hulk, who we later learned to characterize as the Devil Hulk, basically has a purpose and a reason for what he's for what he's doing here. And it isn't until the final issue, when he's fighting against the Sasquatch, or Walter Lankowski, who also has his own gamma connection. It's he sucks all the gamma out of Lankowski, but then he finds out that this gamma infused being that was possessing Lankowski, well, it's actually someone familiar to him. It's actually his father, Brian Banner, who is bad news. It's and I thought that wow, it's oh man, it's so basically the Hulk's evil, abusive father is now inside of him, and it's also going to be affecting how he goes from here. that's clever. That's actually kind of scary as well. So I mean, it's like I don't know, like I mean, like how familiar with you are you with Brian Banner, Rob?
So I did know about Brian Banner. I did know that Bruce had an abusive father. I don't know. What I don't know is when this was revealed. Was this a retcon at some point recently? Is this something that's been around since the 60s and 70s?
This is actually something that was done by Bill Mantlo and specifically and later and Peter David later embellished on it. There's actually an Immortal Hulk 0 issue that reprinted specific issues of the Incredible Hulk. Basically the like the issue that Bill Mantlo wrote, where it revealed that Brian Banner was just like this paranoid narcissist who just like just looked at his son as like, he's a monster who's taking my wife's love away from me. That's where it was established. But Peter David pushed that further. It's like in the -1 issue, and this is actually something that is on Marvel Unlimited as Incredible Hulk 0, Immortal Hulk 0, where like they reprinted like 2 issues where that Ewing felt were like important to his run, and the -1 issue that Peter David wrote is basically the issue where it's revealed that after Bruce took his dad in after he was released from an asylum because he was found not guilty of killing his wife by reason of insanity, but Brian was still was still a bad man, and when he finally lost it, Bruce Bruce pushed him off of him, like when he was attacking him at his wife's grave, and when he did that, Brian cracked his skull on his wife's grave, and that killed him.
Yeah, so I didn't read the -1 issue that you're talking about. I read the 0, and I didn't realize.
Oh, that's part of the issue. It's part of,
okay. Okay, then I read the whole thing. What I didn't realize was that they were reprints. I thought what they were doing, I thought that it was like just them because they were telling an older story using the old comic style.
Oh no! It's like these were actually reprints because there's
Wow.
no way because like the Bill Mantlo issue, like 312, was illustrated by Mike Mignola, and there's no way that Mike Mignola is coming back to do corporate comics.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but and the Peter David issue was also by. Also, like it was cool to see like that was done by Adam Kubert, who was like honors I really like, but it's also really interesting to see how his style was back in the 90s too. Yeah, but that kind of approach to continuity is like all over the Immortal Hulk, and that continues into like the second issue, the second volume, when this is when the Avengers show up to try and like take out the Hulk, and they fail badly. And if I recall, I think that there's one of your favorite moments in here, because this is when like Hulk, this new Immortal Hulk, faces off against She-Hulk, and he's got some wisdom bombs to lay down on her.
Yeah, he does. So this is Jason Aaron's Avengers, which, by the way, I do not like Jason Aaron's Avengers. The only reason I did read it for a while, just because I love She-Hulk. The Dan Slott She-Hulk run is one of my favorite comic runs, even though it's totally gets messed up and then gets canceled. And but I just loved the first until it started getting interrupted by events and everything. It was just so great. And I like She-Hulk a lot. And Jason Aaron, I don't really like what he's done with She-Hulk, because what it basically seems to have done is, it looks to me like he wanted to have an Avengers team with the Hulk on it. They told him, no, you can't have the Hulk. He's taken. So he said, can I have She-Hulk? And then he turned her into the Hulk. So she's giant. She can't talk in complete sentences, and often behaves in a similar manner. And yeah, there's a part in this where Hulk kind of, and I'd have to pull up the quote, because you don't happen to have it handy, do you?
It's like I'd have to like take off my headphones and run over to my shelf to get it. But basically, it's like the Hulk, Immortal Hulk basically tells her that hey, it's like this is like my Hulk was basically like all the parts I wanted to hide from everyone else, but your Hulk was like the version of the Hulk you wanted to show to everyone else, and like how is that now?
Yeah,
It's like
that was the gist of it, and I felt like it made me feel good because it was like in a way he was saying kind of what I was thinking about her, is like one of the things I liked about about She-Hulk is that she is so different from Bruce, from the Hulk. And then for Jason Aaron to just go and make her just like him was really irritating.
yeah, it's like on one hand, it's like I will agree. I will agree with you about like his take on She-Hulk there. I will say that I do kind of like Jason Aaron's Avengers in general, like more for like the it's like the overall direction of his story, because he's basically building to an Avengers versus Mephisto storyline that's doing some deep retcons that are actually kind of interesting. I mean, even if like the actual storylines he's doing don't hit don't hit like completely, it's like I'm very much invested in his overall direction he's taking with it. But yeah, you're right. I get the feeling that like this is more of like a like he's dealing with like dealing the hand that was given to him. But at the same time, I appreciate the fact that Marvel is basically saying, okay, like that that they're basically like respecting Al Ewing's like take on the Hulk enough that they're basically saying like, okay, he can continue with his storyline. Like Jason, you've got to just like make do with like what's available to you.
Yep.
So yeah, and this is how we get like a storyline where like Hulk basically goes to hell, and well, it's like this is kind of like it kind of hits on like the bigger like directions for his like for Ewing's arc, because we find out that there's like there's this creature like underneath all of creation that basically like wants to use the Hulk for his own for his own purposes, and he's also like wearing Brian Banner's skin in order to do this. And it's like when you're like doing stuff like this, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of crazy, but it also kind of makes sense. It's like as far as like what's been like it's like in terms of like hey, like if you're trying to like deliver your own storyline, Hulk storyline, like then you're trying to tie in a whole lot of stuff together, because one of the things like basically the whole reason that like this is called the Immortal Hulk is because like we found out the Hulk can't die. That whenever Bruce Banner dies, he always sees a green door and he can just go through it, like in order to come back to life. But it turns out that this is all because like there's this thing like the one below all that is basically manipulating things. It's like in order to like, why is he manipulating things? Because well, it's like he's got like an ultimate direction, and it involves just being like the great destroyer. It's like, and on one hand, like that's some great galaxy brain thinking in terms of like tying together like all this like whole continuity that's come before. When Ewing starts like getting into like biblical thinking, that's when like he starts kind of losing me when it's like, okay, so how you're bringing religious talk into this, like to make your thesis statement on the Hulk work, and okay, that's cool, but it's also kind of crazy and kind of a big reach. I mean, like how did that work for you, Rob? I mean,
So I liked how he created a kind of a new piece of Hulk mythology that ties every single gamma powered being together.
mhm.
Part of it is that they all get a green door.
Yes,
So and there are moments where I don't know how much you want to get into it, but there are moments where they find that they can use different green doors. I liked that. As far as the religious aspects, are you talking about the final comic? What happens there? Or are you talking about just all the times that he quotes? I mean, there are different quotes. You know, quote. Um, I think he quotes Paradise Lost at some point. He quotes.
There's a lot of stuff in Volume 3, Hulk in Hell, where he like quotes like when Hulk goes to like the below place for the first time, or the first time that we fully engaged in, that he talks about like Gibula, like and Fliploff, that kind of stuff. That's kind of like it's a big reach when you're trying to try to tie in like religious theology to a superhero comic.
It was interesting to me because I hadn't heard of the Gebula, and what was it, Gebula, and what was the other one?
It's like I can't remember at the top of my head, but it's basically like, you know, the right hand is rage, the left hand is mercy.
Yeah. Well, I kind of thought it was interesting because of, you know, it was like a duality of Hulk, you know, the idea of you know, because Hulk is very much kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type story when you go back to the beginning before he started getting, you know, dealing with more personalities and everything. And so I thought it was kind of cool to tie those together. So I would say that it didn't lose me. I don't know very much about, I mean, like I said, I don't even know what, you know, I looked some of it up while I was reading it, and I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's like, I can't say it's like something that like grabbed me like long term, like less long term than like the subsequent volumes, where we get a new version of the Abomination, and also like, you know, Betty Banner as the Harpy, which that's interesting. Like basically see Hulk, like, you know, to deal with his he tried to like work things out with Betty, and well, she wound up becoming her own gamma based creation in the process. And also there's like Shadow Base, which is the this runs anti-Hulk operations, and that worked for a while until its leader, General Fortian, they, you know, wound up like, you know, absorbing the being absorbed by the Abomination's skin. It's like, and basically being it's like sublimated into the anti-Hulk force in this, like in this story, because while the Devil Hulk has his own ambitions, and while the anti-Hulk operations are, you know, definitely not good, well, it's like there's also like there's like a much larger game like being played here. And the first 25 issues are basically like, you know, Hulk, you know, fighting against the forces that are arrayed against him, and the forces arrayed against him are clearly bad. Well, like that kind of gets like muddied as things go on, because, you know, it's like, hey, I liked seeing him, like, you know, talk about, like, you know, his fight against the ills of the world, and also, you know, talking with Doc Samson, because Samson's always a great character, because, you know, he's a superhero, but he's also someone who just, like, you know, wants to talk things out more than anything else. I mean, like,
great for superhero comics, because they just don't talk enough. You know, you get tired of here are two heroes and they wind up fighting, and you're like, when are you going to talk?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that, you know, that one of the most remembered issues of X Factor is the one where Doc Samson psychoanalyzes each member of the team, which is also something that Peter David wrote. And definitely, it's like it's a lot of fun seeing like Samson just, you know, like try and work things out as he's part of, like, you know, the whole supporting cast here. But basically, like, you know, like these first 25 issues are, you know, great, are great superhero fun, and like they definitely give us like a great new perspective on the Hulk, while also, like, you know, like showcasing, you know, familiar characters in new lights. And I would be remiss to not bring up the fact that that Joe Fixit gets a brand new like spotlight here, because he was best remembered as like the as it's like as a persona of the Gray Hulk, who who was basically a mobster tough guy. It's like in Vegas during Peter David's run, and unless I'm missing something, like this is like probably the first time that we've seen Joe Fixit, it's like again since like in an extended form since that time, and he's a lot of fun to see here because he's kind of like a Hulk persona who is like more of a means justifies the ends kind of character here. Like he's one who can look at the situation that's going on and like find like a clever solution to it. Like when he realizes that, hey, you know what? It's like I don't see the like I need a computer password in order to make things work here. But hey, you know, like I see someone's got like a notepad here. It's like I'm just gonna like scribble over it, and here's the password. Like that kind of thinking here. So it's a lot of fun to see, like when it's realized that hey, like Bruce isn't here, like Devil Hulk isn't here, regular Hulk isn't here, but Joe is in his head. So I mean, what did you think about that, Rob?
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting also because you haven't mentioned that when Joe is showing up, he's in Bruce's body, not in the Hulk's body.
Yes.
So it's interesting because he doesn't have his strength to rely on. He only has his his wits, his cunning, and he's he's an important character.
It turns out that like him being in Bruce's body, that's not a bug. That's a feature.
Yes, yeah. The way that everything gets tied up in the end is really, really great. One thing I wanted to mention, and because you're talking about the first 25 issues and everything, and the Devil Hulk, I had heard of the Devil Hulk before, and I don't think he's ever actually come out. You've only seen him in Bruce's mind, I believe, and he was usually chained up. And there was some specific panel that I had seen with him where he's like, just let me out and I'll take care of you. And so I was expecting, I wasn't, you mentioned that you weren't really sure about the series at first. And I wasn't either, because I did hear that the Devil Hulk was in charge, and I wasn't thrilled about that. I like the Hulk being a hero. I don't like him. I like him being a misunderstood hero. I don't like him being a straight villain. Well, Devil Hulk isn't a straight villain. I thought he would be, but he's not.
Yeah, he's got plans. I mean, as Doc Samson, but when he tells like Samson about all the problems with the world, Doc Samson says, "Well, so I see you're the Green Hulk."
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was good because he's talking about climate change and everything, and basically humans are destroying the world, and his goal turns out to be to destroy, as he puts it, the human world. And certain people take that as he's going to kill all the humans, but what he really means is he's going to destroy all the things that are harming the earth and humanity.
Yeah, and it goes about as well as you'd expect for a character who is currently living in a corporate-owned superhero universe.
Yeah,
without giving too much away, it's like so to speak. But because like the big game changer here is in the 25th issue, because like after at this point, like the Hulk actually, he's managed to succeed. He's managed to actually defeat all the forces arrayed against him, and he's got like a sizable base of power to actually like enact these like these goals, to like end the human world, so to speak. But at the same time, we get this like really weird and beautiful 25th issue where we're looking at the eighth incarnation of the eighth or ninth incarnation of the Marvel universe, and like there are these aliens like who are just like just like dealing with like the end of this version of the universe, and like you're just kind of wondering like what does this have to do with like the Hulk? I mean, where is this going? And then you find out at the end that like basically the Galactus, like the world destroying like entity of this next incarnation of the Marvel universe, it's the Hulk. It's a green entity that basically wants to destroy everything. And And so you get the idea, like, where all this is going. And then at the end of that issue, you find out that, oh, well, they've actually been able to send like a SOS back in time to the previous incarnation of the Marvel universe to let them know that this is what's going to happen. But unfortunately, it winds up in the hands of the absolute worst last persons you'd want this to get in the hands of. That would be Samuel Stearns, the leader, the Hulk's arch nemesis. And the back half of this Ewing's run is basically all about how this shakes out, because while it starts off with like the Hulk like trying to like push his like destroy the human world like message in a way that actually makes sense to people who want to like listen to it. Well, the problem is that the leader, well, he's playing like the Hulk is playing a long game. The leader has been playing a longer game all this time, and it involves Hulk's best friend Rick Jones, and also one of the like an old new enemy, like basically Roxxon, the the evil corporation of the Marvel universe, who basically the Hulk is basically centered upon as the they're the corporation I need to to fight and and smash in order to make things work. And it's led by one Dario Auger, who long-time listeners and readers may remember him as the as the proper CEO of Roxxon from Jason Aaron's Thor run. But Ewing also positions him as the callous CEO, as you'd envision him. Basically he's a bad guy in the actual body of a Minotaur, who's definitely not averse to squishing heads whenever he feels like it. Right, Rob?
Yeah. So there's a part in the 26th comic that I found very interesting, where basically Agar reveals himself to his board, and in the Minotaur form, and where and he mentions how, oh yeah, he used to be more discreet and he would take a human form. And he says, you may be wondering why I chose to address you in this manner, why I'm so open when I once practiced discretion. And he describes what I assume are events from Jason Aaron's Thor run.
Mm-hmm.
He says
part of the War of the Realms.
Right. So he says and I just want to read this short part. In the recent war between humanity and the elves, we backed the elves. So this is a corporation, a human corporation that backed the enemies of humanity because they thought it would benefit them. Anyway, he says treason in any sense of the word, high crimes committed in public view. But what were the consequences? Petitions, think pieces, lackluster boycotts of our more obvious brands. Nobody important cared. And so he says, so let the word go out. I am Dario Agger, CEO of Roxxon Energy Corporation, and this is my true form. Nobody will care.
Wow, he's certainly not writing about the real world here, is he?
Well, here's the thing.
Not at all.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that is I'm looking at the high crimes committed in public view. What were the consequences? Petitions, think pieces, lackluster board, just the kind of nothing's really happening. And I want to point out that this was written in November 2019.
Yeah, it doesn't take. I mean, it's I'd like to say that it doesn't take much effort to see the future, but man, it's depressing how true that turned out to be.
Yeah. So I really this is one of my favorite parts of the series is the Hulk versus and his team versus Roxxon. I really enjoyed that. It gets weird. I don't know if you want to go into how it gets weird.
There are the Hulk has to fight against Roxxon's kaiju at one point. the Hulk has to burst out of Bruce Banner's skin, like in order to make his point. Oh, and also the Hulk has to beat the crap out of living nostalgia at one point in Zenmu, the living Hulk.
Yeah, who was the original, like the original use of the Hulk, the term the Hulk. He actually predates the Incredible Hulk.
And it's one thing where you basically, I mean, yeah, that's true, but at the same time, you don't need to know that in order to get what the character is about. And I think that's probably the best thing. That's the great thing about Aaron Ewing's run, in the sense that it's got a lot of deep continuity dives, but you don't need to know, like, be familiar with it in order to like get what's going on here. It's like, and and especially when it's like it's great to see, like the Hulk, like, the Hulk smash Zenmu. It's like, and it's like, and score a win for the team. But then you realize that, oh wait, the leader isn't playing the longer game here, and there's even a whole issue dedicated to Ewing sorting out, oh well, how does the leaders plan square with what he's been doing, like in the Immortal Hulk. And I gotta admit, it's like, it's a lot of exposition, a lot of pipeline, but I definitely respected that, and it was it was really interesting to see, like to see him pull it off there, even if it does lead to, like an issue where like the Hulk just basically realizes that, oh no, it's like it's like, like the Hulk has basically like won everyone's like support this time, but it's also basically just like, the calm before the storm, where the leader, like, pulls off his big game plan.
Yeah, that was a little sad because, like I said, I love the Hulk being a hero, and you have this brief moment where the Hulk is getting, the love that he wants. We're talking about the childlike Hulk, the standard Hulk that everybody is aware of.
I don't want to say salad brain, as Joe loves to call him, but yeah, it's basically like the childlike Hulk, who this version of the Hulk it's kind of the most tragic, because like this version of the Hulk just wants daddy to love him.
Yeah.
And he also, and it's the version of the Hulk basically like that the Devil Hulk really wants to protect. And at one point when when the child Hulk basically says, "No, oh, just want daddy to love him," and like Devil Hulk's like, "Oh no, guy, no," and then that's basically when like the Devil Hulk, is quote unquote written out of this series,
which I was surprised at, because it's been centered around the Devil Hulk the entire time. I never imagined that would happen. I mean, they effectively killed the main character of the series.
Yeah, I think I know why that was done, and it's because I think, because like I think Ewing realized that, like, he was only going to have control over this character so long as he was writing him. So basically, right, like, if he wanted, like, if he let this character like live, like, like to the end of his run, like then he'd have like, other characters other writers trying to interpret this for him, and other writers could have just like tried to run with this and build on what was done here, or they could have just gone and just like, oh, we're just gonna kill him off right away so we can do the story that we're writing. Basically, writing him out of the series at this point basically is the only way that like Ewing could ensure that his take on this version of the character actually survived. It's like, being like, people could definitely bring him back at some point, but they would need to have like, some like a good plan in order to do so, because otherwise, we just call them out for it. So like, it's like at the end, like the rest of the series is basically left to Joe Fixit and Child Hulk to just try and like figure things out on their own terms. And there's some like good stuff there, like when it's like when the Hulk is like basically taken captive by Alpha Flight, and Henry Peter Gyrick, professional asshole human for the Marvel universe, like is basically like saying, "Hey, I got you, and I'm gonna like make you answer like whatever I want to do." And then suddenly Joe Fixit bursts out of Hulk's skin right there during interrogation, and it's like, "Hey, no, I got news for you." It's like that's some great stuff right there. It's like, and it also kind of leads to like some fun stuff when the Hulk and the Thing meet again, and also like the Hulk and Joe and the Hulk also have to deal with like the UFOs. It's like for the to the last volume here.
Yeah.
So
I was not familiar with the UFOs. I looked them up. Still, it was interesting how that turned out. And that's, where we, talk about what you were mentioning earlier, which is why is Joe Fixit in Bruce's body? Why is he never inhabiting a Hulk's body?
yeah, because it turns out he's the backup plan.
Yep.
Yeah, because I guess that brings us to like the final volume of Hell and Death, which basically it's all the it's like the falling action, or well, not really, because like the final issue is the falling action, but it's basically like the issues like initially deal with like the Hulk, like with Joe Fixit, in a proper Hulk body, like dealing with the UFOs, and then the rematch against the Avengers, but not just like against the Avengers, but also with Gamma Flight, and the Hulk versus the Avengers, and then also like the Hulk trying to like Joe dealing with trying to sort things out with Betty, and well that kind of goes in a weird way, because at first like Betty is kind of like she's glad to see someone who like can accept her in her harpy form, but then she finds out that Joe, well, he kind of left Bruce in hell in order to get out, and that's that's kind of like a bad thing with her. And then but it also kind of gives the impetus for Joe to like hey, like we're gonna go down to the below place, and it's like and get Bruce back, and like give Samuel Stearns, the leader, what for, because well, it's like the leader, like his plan to like usurp like like the Hulk's gamma power and become this like world destroying being from the next incarnation of the Marvel universe. Well, it kind of hasn't quite gone the way that he's expected, because it turns out that like the one below all has has a great, it's like has a all consuming hatred that he just can't quite match. So, and I don't know if you have anything you want to say before we get into the it's like the final issues, because like the penultimate issue is basically a lot of like spot art with text as it's like as Ewing tries to parallels the Fantastic Four story with the Hulks, and then there's the final issue, which is it's kind of like a big old retcon into a blood feud. But what do you?
Yeah. I mean, I can talk about some some thoughts that I had up to that point.
Okay.
Something that I liked was, I've been unhappy with some previous stories where, like I enjoyed Planet Hulk. Planet Hulk was great, and then I read World War Hulk, and there's a point at which, when it ended, She-Hulk was there, but like she didn't really do much. She basically tried to talk him down, and he just stomped on her face and then moved on. And then it's the Sentry, the retcons, ultra superhero that, as far as I'm concerned, should have been a one-shot story that stops him. It's important to me for some reason that the Hulk and She-Hulk have a significant relationship in big events, because they are family. and they don't have any other living family. And
Yeah.
so I was happy that she played, somewhat of a significant part in the lead up to the end. During that fight between the Avengers and Hulk and Gamma Flight, and she is basically forced into making a choice between whether she belongs with the Hulk or belongs with the Avengers. Betty kind of manipulates her a little because Betty could have stepped in at a certain moment, but she just looks at Jen, and Jen does decide to take Bruce's side. Well, it wasn't Bruce at that point; it was Joe, but she took her family's side. And I was happy to see that. That was nice, and you got a few moments of her having conversations. I'm surprised we haven't even brought up a character who is the audience stand-in of this entire story.
Are we talking about Jackie Mcgee?
I'm talking about Jackie Mcgee.
Yeah.
Jackie Mcgee is a reporter. She is in the story from the beginning to the end. Although there are moments that she's not around. And she, when she was a child, the Hulk in one of his rampages destroyed her childhood home and scared both her and her father. Her father eventually died, and she kind of blames the Hulk for that. And so in the beginning, she's telling stories about him, and she's chasing after him because she's, angry.
Yeah, she's a reporter for the Arizona Herald.
Right. And she has this kind of a vendetta against him because of that. But as she goes on, she learns about, she knows him, she grows to understand him. And at some point towards, in the lead up to the final issue, I forget exactly when it happens, she develops gamma powers of her own. She can see things.
Like a gamma vision.
She has like a gamma vision, and she can see, there's one part of the Hulk's power set, at least the childlike Hulk, he can see ghosts. And she also gains that power, and basically she sees these, she can see gamma entities, she can see people who are inside each other. If there's some kind of weird thing going on where, you would think, hey, it's the Abomination. But Rick Jones is in that Abomination. That's not what happens in this comic, but she would be able to detect that. But anyway, I just felt it was important to mention her. And so there's a scene where she has a conversation with She-Hulk, and I'm a sucker for just conversations in superhero stories. So I liked having that. And I liked Jen using her connections with the Fantastic Four, because she had been in the Fantastic Four off and on in order to try to get help.
Continuity used for a positive purpose.
Yes. Yeah. So she gets help. And I don't remember. So this is that penultimate issue where they talk about comparing the Fantastic Four to the Hulk. And the Fantastic Four had this, positive family relationship. They went into space to, on a rocket ship, for the betterment of mankind and everything. The rocket ship was not a bomb. This is a thing that keeps going through the comic. He keeps mentioning the rocket ship was not a bomb. For the Hulk, it was a bomb. He just killed his father. They kind of go through the dysfunction of the Hulk's history and how they're kind of opposites. And so it was really, that was a cool issue.
Indeed. And one thing I want to bring up with Jackie Mcgee, and this is something that probably isn't brought up as much as it should have been, is that, like, in her big confrontation with the Hulk, like with the Immortal Hulk specifically, it's like she basically tells him, like, how do I get to be you? It's like, you destroy, it's like all sorts of stuff over the years, and yet people, like, bend over backwards in order to welcome you back into the fold. How do I get to that right here? Because it's basically like a big old like she like it's Ewing basically flagging up like a big old bit of white privilege there, but it's also not like something that's not hugely followed up on after that, because it's like you could, but at the same time it's like you can't really do that because it just kind of it would break the series, for lack of a better term.
Right, and she, it's also that she kind of wants some level of power because she feels helpless. The Hulk has made her, whenever he's around, makes her feel helpless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and she gets that with the it's like with her gamma vision. In fact, it's like it actually, I guess you could say that actually plays like a key role in the final issue, which is a big like I mean this final issue is like a big ass issue. It's like it was a $10 issue because like on one hand Marvel knew they could like get away with like charging like $10 for like the 50th issue of the Immortal Hulk. At the same time, though, it's like basically like the climactic, like issue of this legend of this big run that basically like gotten so much press and buzz and sales over the years. And also, it's basically like the Hulk. It basically has some big stuff. It's basically like the Hulk yelling at God, and it's basically Ewing reframing like the whole Banner and Stern's relationship as a blood feud.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to talk about this too much because I think that it's I don't want to talk about the specifics too much. I think it's worth reading.
Yes.
For anyone who's interested in what we're talking about right here. But I guess I'm talking like as far as a capstone on the run as a whole. It's like I mean it's definitely interesting, and it's like I said it uses continuity in a good way, and there's like all sorts of weird stuff that pops up like over the course of it, and the big double page gatefold is a beautiful thing. Even if I got the collector's edition misprint version of it in my print edition.
Oh no!
But yeah, that's the thing. Like basically, like the big double page gatefold was misprinted in the first edition of this final of the Immortal Hulk Volume 10. So
what was the misprint? What does it mean that it was misprinted?
Basically, it's like the big double page gatefold comes towards the very end where it shouldn't have been, instead of to the point where the Hulk, it looks like the Hulk's about to start yelling at God about why is there need for a Hulk, and the double page gatefold offers you the answer. It's like that's basically what happened. That's basically like where it's like it's not there. It's like it's basically after like the Hulk is brought after everyone's come back from the below place into Fantastic Four's place. That's basically where it's like it's put in the print edition, the current print edition at least.
Oh, okay. So it's misprinted. I mean, it literally the answer shows up later in the thing, and you're like, oh, it skipped it.
Exactly. It's like so. It's kind of like if you know where it is, you can just put your finger in one spot and go, oh, this is how it's supposed to read. Got it.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, once the Hulk, when God basically says, "You are my child," that's basically when you should have been, reading the double page gatefold spread. So
okay, hold on, because I'm looking at it now, and
you're looking on Marvel Unlimited, right?
Yeah. So, are you saying the "You Are My Child" is the double fold?
No.
Gate? No.
It's like "I am the one above all" is the double page gatefold spread.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is like I said, that's a beautiful thing right there. And I guess one thing we do need to talk about before we start wrapping things up is that I do think that there's been some beautiful grotesque art over the course of the series, courtesy of Joe Bennett, because he has definitely been on Ewing's wavelength in terms of just like the horror and the weirdness that the series has has wanted to display. And I've been familiar with a lot of Bennett stuff over the years, like for DC and Marvel. This is definitely like some career best stuff like from him, and I love seeing all the gory grotesque grandeur of what he delivers here. It's just a shame that he apparently like that his anti-Semitic views basically
no.
oh yeah, apparently
I didn't
like,
know.
yeah, it's like because apparently he apparently decided like, hey, like maybe I can like slip some stuff in here, and then everyone realized that, oh shit, man, it's like, so when, because apparently like at one point when like I think it's in the next last volume where Joe goes into like a pawn shop, and it's like, if you read this in the digital and the physical editions, like it looks like a blank window pane, but in the print edition it was jewelry rather than a jewelry pawn shop.
Man,
So,
didn't they just do that? Wasn't that in that X-Men Gold comic too? Did they literally do the same thing?
Yeah, it's like, and I think like that was Ardian Siaf, and I think that he and like Joe and he and Bennett are also like are South American artists. I think both from Brazil. But yeah, this is like one of those things where it's kind of like where everyone's kind of like or everyone's kind of like when this originally came up in the middle of Hulk, everyone's kind of like whoops, we don't know how this got through. It's like, quality assurance. But after the final issue, like a little before the final issue came out, I imagine once everything was like set in stone in terms of like the like going to press, Ewing basically came out and said, I'm not going to work with Bennett again, because he's also like, like some of his old like political cartoons have come up as well, and they're just as bad as you'd expect from here.
That's terrible, because because really the art is amazing in this comic.
Yeah.
It is. I have never seen a comic like this before. I mean, we talk about it's a horror comic. It's, some of the art is disturbing in a very interesting way.
Especially the Abomination stuff. That was like, oh man, I'm gonna have nightmares about this.
Yeah, the Abomination stuff. Most of the times when the Hulk transforms either into a human or back into the Hulk, it is not like the standard, oh, he just grows bigger, he gets bigger muscles. He like splits out of himself or distorts in these really imaginative ways. Disturbing, but just so interesting. And I am really unhappy to hear that this guy has those views, because like I said, I can't tell you how great the art is.
Yeah, I mean, and the art is fantastic, and man, it's like, and Bennett has, I mean, it's like, I can't remember if he's actually like, gone on record as saying like, how he repudiates his own views, or he just realizes that, like now he's been called out on this, like there's no point in it's like you're refuting things. But also like, there's also like a lot of like, great supporting art like in this series as well. In fact, from Kyle Hotz, who did the issue where Bruce reconnects with Betty, the late Brian Bodenheim, who gives like the origin story for General Fortien. German Garcia, who did the amazing issue 25, who where you get to like see like the next version of the iteration of the Marvel Universe being laid waste to by this new Hulk. See Matthias Bergara doing doing some fill-in stuff as well. It's like, and Nick Pitara doing like the Mindscape stuff, like when it's like when the Hulk is guided by like the Green Scar Hulk into his Mindscape, and Jackson Geese, who did the apotheosis of Samuel Stearns, the big spotlight issue where we find out just what like how Stearns is all of his like previous incarnations like led into like this current version of the Immortal Hulk. I mean, this series has been given like some great, like amazing art, like from beginning to end. And on one hand, it's like, and yeah, it's like Bennett has been at the forefront of this, like from beginning to end, and it's just a damn shame that his beliefs are just gonna like lead him to like being written out after after this. I mean, not saying that he shouldn't be written out, but I mean, it's like
yeah, that's
yeah.
Man, there was something else that I wanted to talk about, and I just forgot what it was. Oh yeah, this is it. We never saw, or tell me if I'm wrong in this. Did we ever see the Professor Hulk or the merged Hulk, as that I used to know him?
No, this is something that they actually acknowledged, and that no, it's like it was not that we never saw that we this is something that we never saw. So
Yeah, I mean because they mentioned him early on. It's like because oh, what's his name? What's it go by now? The formerly awesome Hulk, Cho.
Amadeus Cho.
Amadeus Cho. He shows up and he says, "How come we haven't seen the Green Scar or the Professor? The heroic Hulks are not anywhere to be seen." I was expecting to eventually see something about the Professor, whether he was locked up or something like that, but he was just not there.
I'm gonna put that down to Ewing, just basically like not wanting to write about that. I mean, it's like
Maybe
it wouldn't be the first time like a writer just has basically ignored part of continuity to further their own like interpretation of a character, and I think that he's got more room here with with the Hulk in terms of just how his personalities have shown up over the years. I mean, we did get to see the Green Scar, but it turns out the Green Scar wasn't quite the Green Scar, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah. But
I always preferred the idea of the merged Hulk being literally the merged Hulk. I didn't really like that they retconned him into yet another personality. So who knows? Maybe Ewing feels that same way and was like, well, you've got the three. I mean, it ends with the three main, Hulk personalities. It has Joe Fixit, it has the Child Hulk, and it has Bruce. And those are who made up the merged Hulk. And so maybe Ewing feels the same way I do. I'm going to try to look up and see if there were any interviews with Ewing to see why there was no Professor Hulk.
Yeah, but overall, it's like I mean, I did enjoy like the Immortal Hulk overall. I mean, it's interesting like how like there's like a lot of like different takes on it as the series goes on. I mean, like the first half was just basically like the Hulk versus everyone else. Then it was like Hulk versus humanity, and then it was like the Hulk versus the leader. Like in the end, I mean, it's like there's, I mean, on one hand, it kind of delivers like just about everything you'd want to see like from a modern take on the character. One that like basically like respects and acknowledges like the previous continuity, and just kind of acknowledges that even if like everything that happened beforehand clearly wasn't unplanned. It's like like he's trying to like retcon it in a way that it all kind of makes sense. It's like, and it's like that's something I'm definitely a sucker for. Even if like in the end it's like like I mean I like seeing the Hulk like God. It's like I'm not sure if it was like quite the summation that I was looking forward to or expecting from this from the series, but I was definitely entertained. It's like from beginning to end. There's no denying that.
No, totally. It was like I said, I don't think there's been another comic series like it. So it was great to read, and I'm going to try to convince my wife to read it. I think I'm going to buy it in the trade paperbacks and convince her to read it.
Yeah, it's like you can do that, or I mean, they're doing it in like the like in the hardcover editions where it's like two two paperbacks in one hardcover, and I'm sure they're going to be doing it in omnibus editions at one point.
That's what I should do, is wait for an omnibus. The thing is I don't like the hardcover stuff. I like it to be, it's too rigid and makes it harder for me to read or what. I don't know. It's dumb.
Yeah. But at the same time, like this entire run is available on Marvel Unlimited right now.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, and there's also like all sorts of like other extraneous bits like from it as well. But 1 through 50 is technically all you need to read. But if you do like it, then you should also check out Gamma Flight, which is a miniseries that was co-written by Ewing with writer Crystal Fraser and artist Lam Medina, which just tells you what the Gamma Flight team, Dr. Shelley McGowan, Doc Samson, Puck, Absorbing Man, and his wife Titania, got up to at the very end of the series, after their big throwdown with the Avengers. And it also basically touches upon a bit some things that that Ewing was able to touch upon in the main series, like say the Abomination, like Emil Blonsky, Scar, the Hulk's like son from Planet Hulk, and it's like and also just what happened with Rick Jones and Del Fry after they were merged together.
Right.
So yeah, so there's that as well, but there's also like if you like put in like Immortal Hulk into the like a Marvel Universe app, you get like all sorts of other stuff in addition to the main series, and it's generally worth reading. But at the same time, like it's like the whole it of course it's reading for like the low price of free. So
yeah, there's some little one-offs like. There's a Spider-Man crossover. There's a Fantastic Four crossover. There's the Immortal She-Hulk comic.
So did you read that?
I did, and I've already forgotten what it was about. It's not important to the storyline.
Yeah, it's 3 Deaths of Jennifer Walters.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, it mentioned the thing, where they had the weird fight with the plant people, and they kind of like took her.
Yeah, part of the Empire crossover.
Yeah, actually, that was worth reading. Actually, that I would recommend that people read that, because now I remember, because the leader shows up in it.
Yeah, basically, it's where he explains that he's got the power to change the locks on the green doors.
Yeah, and that's important later in Immortal Hulk.
Yeah, I think that's technically there is an 11th volume to the Immortal Hulk in terms of trade paperbacks. That's basically called Apocrypha, and it's basically like those issues. It's basically like the was it the Immortal Hulk Absolute Carnage tie-in, the Immortal Hulk King in Black tie-in, the 3 like that like the Immortal Hulk tie-in that we just talked about with the Immortal She-Hulk tie-in.
Yeah.
So it's worth getting, but it's like it's not an absolutely necessary volume. But if you've liked what Ewing and company have done here, then yeah, it's worth reading. And in fact, this has been like a great. I think it's been a lot of fun, a big fun run. And on one hand, it's like, well, it's like definitely like establishes like further establishes like my opinion of Ewing as a great writer for Marvel Universe. Well, it kind of depends. Also lets you know like, well, what's next for everything, because hey, Rob, you know who's tackling the Hulk next?
Yeah, I know that it's Ryan Otley and oh man, I keep forgetting. He's got a G in his name.
No, actually, he doesn't.
No, who is it?
Donny Cates.
Cates. I'm sorry. I dang it. Who did I think it was? There was an X-Men writer that had a G.
Jerry Dugan.
Yes, that's who I was thinking of.
He wrote Hulk. He wrote Hulk for a little while, but Donny Cates and Ryan Otley are the new creative team on Hulk after this. And I gotta admit that I admire Cates' guts, because not only did he want to tackle Thor after Jason Aaron did his legendary run on it, now he's tackling the Hulk after this run. So it's like, wow. It's like more power to him for just trying to think he can like follow up on these great runs. But I've heard good things about it, and God knows that he's got a great artistic partner in Otley.
Oh man, I love Ryan Otley's art. However, I cannot. I read all of Invincible multiple times, and so I cannot look at his art without seeing, Mark Grayson in whatever characters he's drawing.
I gotta admit, I liked his stuff that he did in Amazing Spider-Man, and I liked, and you know what the title of the arc that he's doing with Cates for this first run is?
I forgot what it was called. What's it called?
Smashtronaut.
No, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
it's like I got it. It's like as much as I enjoyed Ewing's runs, like I'm also looking forward to seeing what Cates and Otley have in store for this next one. And John, it's like I guess you may have some thoughts on this as well.
No, not entirely, but yeah. Not for this one. But there's some cool stuff that you guys have been talking about, and just kind of curious as to what your subject might be next time.
Well, next time I think I may just bite the bullet instead of ordering from like my usual graphic novel source, and just like getting the necessary volumes for like Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunters, because God knows it's actually been a while since we've talked about Star Wars on this podcast. That's definitely a possibility. But also, I also want to say that, hey, Rob. So I know that Jonathan Hickman, he's wrapped up his X-Men run. So you should come back to talk about how that turned out with Inferno when it's done when it gets published on Marvel Unlimited in March.
Wow, it's going to be published in Marvel Unlimited in March already? Sure. Yeah, I'd like to talk about that. Yeah, I wasn't aware that was already happening. I haven't been keeping up with it.
Yeah, it's like Inferno. It's its finale, and it's done, and they're already on to the next thing, which is going to set the stage for the next stage of X-Men. That's X Lives and X Deaths of Wolverine.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So because you know how X-Men works. I mean, it's just like one thing leads to another, and there you go.
That's true.
But yeah, I do want to get your thoughts on the whole Hickman era of X-Men, because on one hand, I've enjoyed everything that's been done so far, but it's always a possibility that he could just completely whiff the finale, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure, Rob.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next time on Comic Books by the Glick.
All right. Laters.
Bye.